What's up? It's Ashley with Her Money Mastery, and I teach women how to manage their finances so that they can do things like pay off debt, build a savings, learn how to invest, and just live more comfortable lives. So today we are talking about how I paid off $10,000 of debt, or more than that actually, in less than a year. And at the time, I made less than $40,000 per year at my salary job. So it was a tough climb for me, especially because I was just learning, but I made it happen. So I'm about to tell you the exact steps that I used to be able to do that. And my clients and students have also used the same steps to be able to do the same thing. Before we get started, go ahead and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when I post. I try to post once per week, and my channel is all about personally empowering you to be able to manage your finances, talking about the money mindset, budgeting, saving, debt, all of it. So go ahead and subscribe if you like that content. Let's get straight into it. And I want to talk about kind of the steps that I went through to pay off all my debt, because I knew that that was important to me. I knew that I wanted to get out of debt so I would have that money back in my pocket. I thought that debt was just a thing that you had to live with for your whole life. Like, it's so normalized. Everybody around you is probably in some type of debt. It's normalized to buy these expensive cars, to just put things on a credit card. And especially with the economy that we're currently living in, sometimes we have to use a credit card if we didn't plan our money accordingly or if something unexpected happens, right? So it's kind of normalized, and I thought that's just how it had to be until I was drowning and thought, how are people living like this? And I can't live like this anymore. So how can I get myself out of this situation? I went through a long journey of figuring that out. And what it came down to is a few different things. Number one, build a savings first. And I know this seems counterintuitive, but let me explain why I'm saying this. So I just want you to know you need to keep this in a high yield savings account. I'll explain that in just a second. But the reason you need to build a savings first is because I learned this lesson the hard way more than once, actually. If you do not build a savings first before you go into your debt payoff plan, something unexpected is probably going to happen during that time. And guess what? You're not going to have the money to cover it. You're going to have to put it on a credit card, grab a loan, whatever you have to do, and it's going to make you go further into debt, right? Therefore, erasing any progress that you've made thus far because you had to increase your debt because you weren't prepared for an unexpected expense. A lot of times we think we need to just jump straight into the debt payoff first because you want that debt gone. And once you build a debt payoff plan, like a snowball or an avalanche plan, you see that you can start making progress pretty quickly. So a lot of people go straight there. They bypass like the safety net savings portion first and go straight to the debt payoff. I personally also did that, and that's how I learned that it is not the right thing to do, because I would keep having to erase my progress by going further into debt. So how much do you need to save? You don't need to save the whole entire emergency fund. You need to save at least $1,000 to begin with. This is going to be enough probably to hold you through your debt payoff, and you might have to use it, and that's okay. That's what it's for. Because if you are going and focusing all of your money on your debt payoff, say you pop a tire or something. If you have $1,000 saved, you can use that to then get your tire fixed without going further into debt. And you might have to do that a few times and then keep rebuilding it back up. And that is totally okay. It's just important that you have it to begin with. And you're going to see that it saves you in a lot of occasions. And you're going to be really glad that you didn't have to add to your debt. Because I don't know about you, but I don't want to pay interest. Like, it's a scam. They are charging all of this interest because they are making money off of you. So that's why we want to get rid of our debt. Now, once you save that amount in your high yield savings account, you will go to your debt payoff and start focusing on that. If you want to save more than $1,000, you can. Anywhere from like $1,000 to $3,000 is probably a good amount to start with. And then you go straight into your debt payoff where you are funneling all your extra money to your debt. That's another video. But once you finish that, you can come back and fully fund your emergency fund to 3 to 6 months worth of your savings. Okay. So I just had to put this out here first because this is a crucial first step that a lot of people skip because they don't want to slow down and take the time to save this first. They want to get their debt paid off. I'm here to tell you that sometimes you have to slow down to speed up, okay? And if you don't know what a high yield savings is, I'll put the link down below to a comparison you can look at to find the best account for you. Okay, so what was next in the debt payoff journey? I had to sit down. Let's see. What it all boils down to is I had to make a budget. Now, to do this, I had to find all of my expenses, and I had to find my leftover. What was my leftover income? So basically I had to sit down. I had to find all the expenses that I'm currently paying for. I had to figure out where is every single one of my dollars going and how much do I have left over after my bills, because that is what I want to use to do my debt payoff, right? A lot of people also don't want to do this step because it takes time. You're going to have to sit down and really find the numbers and figure out what is your situation looking like, because it's going to be really important through your debt payoff journey. If you are trying to do it quickly and aggressively like I personally was, you're going to have to be very tight on your budget and tight with what you're doing. That way you can make the most progress possible. This is going to require you to create a budget that you can stick to. So depending on how aggressive you want to be with your debt payoff, you might cut out things for the time being until your debt is paid off. That way you can reroute that money to your debt payoff, if that makes sense. So you're going to have to sit down and do this. It is not optional. So save first, then sit down, make a budget so that you know how much you can spend towards your actual debt. So I personally didn't have much left over in my journey. So I was going to have to get a side hustle. And I know nobody wants to hear that because we don't want to work more than we're already working. But when we get ourselves into a situation that we need to climb out of, sometimes it's necessary to make those type of sacrifices so that you can have extra money, so that you can make faster progress that's going to get you to where you're trying to be faster. So I personally did a whole bunch of different side hustles to try to get any money that I could possibly get to throw at my debt because I wanted it to be paid off. Some of the things I did was Facebook Marketplace. I would sell things around my house, all type of stuff. Like if I had friends or family who needed to get rid of something, I would sell it on Facebook Marketplace for them. That was a good source of like quick income. I also did photography, and this isn't something that I just like randomly decided to do. I have been doing photography since high school, so I already had a good camera. I already had knowledge of how to do that. And so I started offering photography for people in my area. Did it make me rich? No, but it gave me a lot of extra money to work with when I was trying to pay this debt off. I also taught myself how to build websites. That way I could offer websites to companies. So essentially I was freelancing, building websites for people. You can list yourself, if you want to do this, you can list yourself on Fiverr, Upwork, Facebook even. You can list yourself anywhere you want to. And that's what I did. And I made quite a bit of money doing that, which I was able to funnel directly to my debt payoff. Some other good ones, walk dogs on rover.com. I personally did not do this because I lived in kind of like a rural area where I couldn't just like go to a neighborhood and walk all their dogs, right? But that's a really good one. Also, DoorDash. I have done DoorDash before. It is a good way to get some quick money that you can throw at your debt. And by the way, if you can go and do a few DoorDash orders per day to make yourself at least $33 per day, that's $1,000 extra per month that you can send towards your debt. Imagine what that could do for your debt payoff. It can help you exponentially. Okay, so side hustle, and this goes hand in hand with the budget, because if you don't have a budget, you know what's going to happen if you go get a side hustle? I guess you can probably guess that you're going to spend it. You're going to blow it on fast food or whatever the case may be, whatever you're spending money on now. You're going to just funnel that money back into those frivolous expenses. That's why we need to make a budget that clearly lays out every single dollar and gives every single dollar a job to do. That way, when you do have money come in, you know exactly what to do with that money. And it is going to go to the max benefit of getting your debt paid off. Sometimes when you're in debt, you are paying hundreds or even thousands of dollars per month on that debt. Imagine having that back in your pocket. That's what I was thinking about the whole time I was going through my debt payoff, is like, I really need this money that I am paying towards my debt every month, right? I really, really need this money. So I need to get this paid off as quickly as I can so I can get that back in my pocket. That is the point of all of this. So the side hustle stuff you're going to have to do, the sacrifice to your time and effort you're going to have to make here is going to pay off, and it is temporary, okay? You don't have to do that forever. But like, actually, you're not even going to have to do that once you get all your debt paid off, because you're going to have all that money back in your pocket. So just imagine that for a moment and keep that as your motivator as you're going through this. Okay, so next in line is that I built a debt payoff plan. And you would be surprised. Okay, let me write this down really quick. I can't do two things at once. So snowball or avalanche are my two favorites. And I didn't really know much about the avalanche at the time. I knew about the snowball, and that is what I personally used. You will be so surprised how far a debt payoff plan can actually go to helping you pay it off faster. So right now, what you're probably doing is paying the minimums on all your debt. That is okay. At least you're paying your minimums, but you're never really going to get out of debt doing that because they charge so much interest. So if you're making the minimum payments only, you're really not making any progress because that interest is coming behind it and eating up any progress that you made. So you will notice if you really sit down and look at it, it can take you years and years to pay off certain debts like credit cards. If you have your credit cards maxed out, that can take a long time to pay off. So a debt payoff plan combats that by rolling your payments into each other. And what I mean by that, depending on which plan you use, they will be ordered differently. Okay, if you do a snowball plan, it is going to be from smallest to largest balance. And the balance is how much you owe. So if you have a credit card that has a $10,000 balance, you owe $10,000 on that credit card, right? An avalanche is largest to smallest interest rate. And the interest rate is how much they are basically charging you to have taken out that loan that you used from them, right? So you put them in order depending on which plan you're trying to use, and then you pay the minimums on all of them. You put any extra money you have towards the first debt in line of your plan. So say you're doing a snowball like I did, and your smallest balance is $300. You owe $300 on a credit card. You are going to be funneling all your extra money. So that is where your budget comes in handy. How much extra do you have? Or your side hustle? What extra is that creating for you? You're funneling that to the first debt, the $300 balance one, right? You're still paying the minimums on all the other ones. Once this first one is paid off, which will happen pretty quickly because it's a low balance, you will put that minimum payment plus any extra money you are sending towards it. You'll roll that to debt number 2 in line. So now on debt 2, you're paying 2 minimum payments and the extra that you have. Once that one's paid off, you take those 2 minimum payments plus the extra, you roll it to debt number 3. So now you have 3 minimum payments plus the extra. And you see how this starts to build and starts to move really fast. And you can get it to where, like, once you get further along in your plan, sometimes you're paying hundreds of dollars towards one debt, which causes it to be paid down way quicker than if you were just trying to pay the minimums. So you would be surprised at how fast you can actually get out of debt using one of these 2 plans. And that's something you won't really know until you lay it out for yourself so that you can see exactly what type of progress you can make. But the good thing about these plans is that it basically tells you exactly what you need to pay, which card you need to pay it to, or which debt you need to pay it to, and when. And then it can also show you different things like how much is left on that, what's your progress, etc. So these plans are extremely powerful. I've had people in my programs who have paid off like $40,000 of debt in 1 year just because they made a plan and they actually did not even know that it was possible to do so until they created that plan. Something also good about creating a plan is that it kind of frees up some of your mental space. So you will have kind of like a sigh of relief after you make that plan because it's going to tell you how long is it going to take you to get out of debt. And just the act of having the plan is a huge deal, especially if you've never had a plan before. It all feels like a mess when you're in the middle of it until you organize it and make a plan. So that is really a big deal. So just to recap, we got to save first. This is what I finally figured out. And once I did this, it unlocked the rest of this for me. I was able to finally make progress. Save first, create a budget and get pretty tight with it if you want to be like really aggressive with your debt payoff. Find a budget that's going to work for you and hold you over. And I do have other videos about budgeting specifically. Get a side hustle if needed to accelerate your progress with the understanding that this can be temporary. It doesn't have to be forever. You are not like signing your soul away to a life of working. And then build your debt payoff plan. I personally used a snowball and I was able to pay off over $10,000 in less than a year. So I made less than $40,000 per year at my salary job, which is why I needed to get side hustles. Sometimes people are making pretty good money on paper. They're just not managing it correctly, so they don't even realize like how much they have to send to their debt. So sometimes you don't need to get a side hustle. It's all going to depend on your numbers and your situation. So that is something that you will have to sit down. Nobody can do that for you. You have to sit down and make the time to actually do it. Now, something that I want to talk about really quickly is how to actually stay motivated, okay? Because especially if you have a lot of debt and you're looking at like multiple years worth of debt payoff, that can seem like a long time when you're standing at the beginning, at the very start of your debt payoff, right? So how do you stay motivated? Let's write this down. Motivation. I would say absolutely 100% use a tracker. There are paper trackers where you can like color in the squares as you pay down the amount. There are digital trackers like on Google Sheets. Sometimes people have trackers. I personally do have a tracker in my debt payoff calculators. I'll link those down below if you want to grab them, along with the link to the high yield savings comparison. But trackers are a really good way to keep you on track. I mean, that's why they're called trackers, right? Because when you can visually see your progress and your debt dwindling down over time, it is a lot more powerful than you just making another payment on your debt and then saying, oh, okay, cool, I'm $100 closer. That's not tangible. You know, you need like a tangible way to be able to see your progress. And once you hit that halfway mark, baby, you're good. You're going to see it and say, I got this. So that is really, really something that helped me. What's another thing that helped me? Celebrating myself, celebrating milestones. So what I mean by this is maybe you tell yourself, when I hit the 25% mark, like say you have a tracker and once you hit 25% complete, like paid off, you treat yourself. You give yourself some type of treat that you've been wanting, or you buy yourself a new bag at Home Goods or something, you know, like it could be anything, but you just want to celebrate your milestones so that you don't get completely burnt out and feel like it doesn't matter, because it does matter. But if you don't celebrate yourself, no one else is going to. So it's really important that you take the time to actually do that and set that up ahead of time. So when you're setting up your debt payoff plan, maybe also at the same time think, okay, as I'm going through this, what are my milestones going to be that I celebrate, and how am I going to celebrate them? It could be as simple as you buy yourself a candy bar. It doesn't have to be some elaborate thing. Definitely don't go further into debt to celebrate yourself, right? It can be completely free, something you do at home. Just build it in. That way it keeps you motivated because you know, oh, I'm almost to the next milestone and I get to do X, Y, or Z. Make it like a high value thing for you. Okay, so this is literally how I paid off all of that debt. And this is the same type of stuff that I am teaching my students, and they have the same result. Because when you have a good plan and a good system, it's predictable, right? You know that it can happen if you just show up and do the work. A lot of times the mindset is the problem and it is the blocker. You need to get control of your mindset so that you can continue showing up for yourself day after day to make progress on this, because this is important. And once you get your debt paid off, you are going to feel so empowered, so good about yourself. Like you're going to feel amazing. Plus you're going to have a lot more money back in your pocket so that you can start doing other things with it. And I know that is the point you want to get to. I also want to say that no matter how much debt you're in, you can get out of it. It is going to take work. It is going to take sacrifice. It is going to take planning and consistency, but you can do it. I know there's people who had a lot more debt than me. So I'm speaking from my experience. This was very hard for me at the time because I was very broke and did not have a lot of money. But I know that some people's situation is even more debt than this. I just want you to know that this works no matter how much debt you're in. The only factor that's really going to change is the amount of time it's going to take. But if you stay consistent with it, I promise you, you can pay off your debt. I have seen it time and time again. I have helped actually thousands of women at this point have like downloaded my calculators and wrote me and said, this finally helped me pay off my debt. I finally paid off 12 of my debts. I never thought I would see the day. Like I was able to pay off 5 debts within the first 3 months, that type of stuff. So just know any progress is progress. As long as we can aim to get 1% better every day, that is progress, and that is amazing progress. You are making progress. So don't forget to celebrate yourself. Don't forget to be your own cheerleader. Don't beat yourself up about it, and just keep showing up. The time is going to pass regardless. Do you want to get out of debt or not? Okay, I want that for you because I know how it feels. So I hope this helped you. Please, in the comments, let me know if you have questions about any of these steps. Like I said, I will leave a few links for different resources below in the description so that you can check those out. And again, just know you can do this. Let me know if you have questions, and I look forward to seeing you next week. You got this, friend.